Hello, Captain Graham here. Belated Happy New Year to everyone from here in Makati, Philippines, and welcome back to the channel. To first note, talking about the channel, the views have been well down from in the thousands a couple of years ago to hundreds to below 100 in recent recordings. It's all a little bit discouraging, but please do leave your comments, etc., and it'll make it all worthwhile. Now, to the recording in hand. When J.S. Bach died, he left in his will a list of a number of instruments in his keyboard inventory, which include 5 harpsichord, a spinet, and 2 instruments labelled Lautenwerk. Now this last named instrument was actually designed by the composer, combined the harpsichord mechanism with a lute-like sound. We have a description of the Lautenwerk, or Lute-Harpsichord, from J.G. Agricola, a late pupil who was an important copyist of Bach's music and joint writer of the obituary of Bach with C.P. Bach. He said it was smaller in size than a regular harpsichord, with 2 banks of gut strings rather than the usual metal, and a little octave of brass strings. This sound was apparently more like a theorbo than a lute, but could actually deceive lutenists if it was in the configuration of playing the bank of gut strings with what he called a cornet stop, which we presume is the little octave of brass strings. There were apparently several builders of Lautenwerk at the time, but not a single example survives today, so there's a certain amount of conjecture surrounding them. Not surprisingly, though, there have been several attempts to build these, and you can also find recordings on YouTube. Anyway, I'm presenting the Prelude from the Bach Suite in C minor for Lautenwerk, BWV 997, evidently a late example of Bach's keyboard prelude style. The manuscript dates from around 1740, when Agricola was describing seeing Bach's Lautenwerk. However, it could have been composed earlier. The Prelude is built on a continuous flowing line in the right hand, supported by a simple bass. But that simple line is extremely awkward to play. Even the bass is awkward to play. Neither hand feels right under the fingers. The short suite includes a fugue that is really unplayable because of the spacing that would need some rearrangement. Significantly, the fugue is in a da capo form that we see for that other lute-related work, the Prelude, Fugue, and Allegro in E flat, which I put on my channel a couple of years ago. In the suite, a saraband follows, and that's similarly awkward in terms of spacing, and it concludes with a jig, which uniquely comes with a double or variation. And I might bring the complete suite to you at a future date if there is interest. Now, I'm playing the Prelude on the harpsichord buff or lute stop on the upper manual. By moving a rubber stopper in the mechanism, it mutes the strings somewhat from the usual sound, and it's probably the closest I can get to a lute or Lautenwerk on my harpsichord, since my J.M. Bach copy harpsichord lacks a 4-foot stop, sounding an octave higher. And then here is the buff stop. It's this little mechanism here. You move this little handle, and it moves these rubber tips against the string and stops the string, so more like this sound. I've also tried the piece using a lute and 4-foot stop combined on my Roland C200. So here's a demo of the piece on the 2 instruments side by side.